Welcome in, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at Stoicism.
Okay.
And specifically, we're using the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday as our guide.
Yeah.
And
Great book.
Yeah, and I think it's a good place to start because a lot of people kind of think of Stoicism as this very kind of like ancient and not really relevant today.
Yeah.
But
Happy
I think what Ryan does really well is he kind of shows how it's so applicable,
especially to
like modern problems.
Yeah, the modern world, the challenges we face today.
So maybe before we even get into the specifics of the book, could you kind of give us an overview of like what Stoicism is at its core?
Sure. Yeah, Stoicism is really about living a good life. It's about flourishing.
Okay.
And how to do that. And the Stoics thought that the way to do that was through virtue.
Okay.
And living virtuously and using reason.
Okay.
And sort of aligning yourself with nature.
Right. And they also believe that happiness comes from not external things, but internal things.
Okay. So would you say like one of the main things is this idea of like control?
Yeah, control is huge. Where it feels like so much is out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a key idea. And one of the ways that Ryan helps us to understand this is with this idea of the circle of control.
Okay.
And it's a really nice visual that you can have in your mind. So imagine a circle. Okay. Within that circle are the things that you have control over.
Okay.
Your thoughts, your judgments, your reactions.
Okay.
Outside of that circle are all the things that you don't have control over other people's opinions.
Okay.
The weather, world events, the economy. So it's not that these things don't affect us.
Right.
But we don't have direct control over them.
Right.
So it's more about like how you react to it instead of like trying to control every little thing.
Yeah. So it's not about pretending we can control everything, but it's about focusing our energy on the things we can actually influence.
Okay.
And by doing that, we can find a sense of peace and agency even in challenging situations.
Yeah, because it's so easy to like stress about things that you ultimately have no power over.
Yeah. And there's that old saying, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So how does like Ryan connect this idea of the circle of control to everyday life?
He gives us lots of practical exercises and examples of how we can apply the circle of control to situations we all face, like dealing with difficult people, overcoming setbacks, managing social media.
Yeah, it's interesting you say managing social media because you would think that's something you do have control over.
Well, we do in a sense, like we can choose.
Okay.
Whether to engage or not.
Right.
But there's so many things about it that we don't have control over.
You can't control what other people...
So algorithm.
Yeah, what other people are posting.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
The negativity or whatever.
Yeah, okay, so it's like choosing how much you engage with it.
Exactly.
Okay, so besides the circle of control, what are some of the other like key Stoic ideas that are in the book?
So he talks a lot about the 3 disciplines of Stoicism.
Okay.
And these are the pillars of Stoic practice.
Okay.
Perception, action, and willow.
Okay, let's take those one at a time.
Sure.
What is perception all about?
So perception is all about how we view the world.
Okay.
And it's not about pretending that bad things don't happen.
Okay.
It's about choosing how we interpret and react to them.
Yeah, I think he even says something in the book like, our perceptions are often the root of our troubles.
Yeah, our perceptions are often the source of our pain.
Right.
How we frame the situation determines our experience.
The classic example of like missing your train.
Exactly.
You can be like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, oh, I have some extra time to read or something.
Read a book, listen to a podcast.
Right. Listen to part 2 of this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's perception.
Yeah.
So what about the second discipline, action?
So action is about aligning our actions with our values and striving for excellence in everything we do.
Okay, so it's not just about what you do, but like why you're doing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about being intentional.
Okay.
Not just drifting through life on autopilot.
That reminds me of that quote from Seneca that's in the book. Having an end in mind is no guarantee that you'll reach it, but not having an end in mind is a guarantee you won't.
Exactly. Yeah, and that end for the Stoics is always virtue.
Okay.
So they believe that living a virtuous life,
okay,
guided by wisdom, justice, courage, self-control.
Yeah.
That was the ultimate goal.
Okay, and that kind of leads us into that third discipline, will.
Yes.
So
the discipline of will is about accepting what we cannot change, focusing on what's within our control, and developing inner resilience.
So this is a tough one, I feel like, especially in like modern life.
It is.
Where we're kind of...
We want to control.
Yeah. We're like, go, go, go.
Everything.
Yeah, we want to control everything.
It's very hard to accept the things we can't change.
Yeah.
But it's essential for our well-being.
And that makes me think of like the concept of amor fati, which is like love of fate.
Yes.
Which always kind of seemed a little radical to me.
I mean, it's a really challenging idea.
Yeah.
But I think it's about embracing whatever life throws our way.
Okay.
Seeing challenges as opportunities for growth and finding peace in the midst of uncertainty.
Okay. So it's not necessarily like being happy about like a bad thing happening.
No.
It's more about like, okay, this happened now. Like, how do I move forward?
It's about accepting it.
Yeah.
And then figuring out how to move forward.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's also this part in the book where he talks about the like 7 clear functions of the mind.
Yeah, the 7 functions of the mind.
And I have to admit, I didn't know about these before reading the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's choice, refusal, yearning, repulsion, preparation, purpose, and assent.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting because I feel like I've never really thought about like how my mind works.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what's interesting about this is it's like it brings to light these different functions and encourages us to be more mindful of these processes so that we can use them more effectively.
Yeah. I mean, which one of those resonated most with you?
You know, I'm drawn to the idea of preparation.
Okay.
Because I think in today's world, we're so reactive. And I think we often forget to sort of step back and strategize and think about what potential obstacles might come up.
Yeah. So like if you take a little bit of time to prepare, then maybe you won't be so stressed later on.
You can avoid unnecessary stress.
Right. That's a good one for me.
Yeah.
I think it's refusal.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think we're so often like pressured to like do things and
say yes to everything.
Yeah, say yes to everything. And it's like learning to say no is so important.
Totally.
And on that note, listener, which of these do you think
resonate
are most helpful for you?
Most with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then he goes on to talk about these 4 habits of the Stoic mind.
Yeah, he calls them the 4 habits of the Stoic mind.
So it's not enough to just like understand these concepts.
Yeah. No, you have to put them into practice.
Yeah, you have to like actually live them.
Yeah.
So what are these 4 habits?
So the first one is accept only what is true.
Okay.
And this is so important today with information overload.
Yeah.
So it's about thinking critically, questioning assumptions, being discerning about the information we consume.
So it's not about just like believing everything you read.
Accepting everything.
Yeah, you have to like actually think about it.
You have to vet the source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's number 1. What's number 2?
Number 2 is work for the common good.
Okay.
And this is about recognizing our interconnectedness.
Okay.
And understanding that our actions impact others.
Okay.
So it's not just about me. It's about contributing to the well-being of our community.
It feels like we're all in this together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, what's number 3?
Number 3 is match our needs and wants with what is in our control.
Okay, so this goes back to that circle.
Back to the circle. Yeah.
So like if it's not your control, you shouldn't be wanting it.
Don't waste your energy on things you can't control.
Okay.
Focus on what you can control.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, what about number 4?
Number 4 is embrace what nature has in store for us.
Okay.
This is about cultivating resilience and acceptance in the face of life's challenges.
So it's kind of like accepting that there will be challenges.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah, change is constant.
Yeah.
Difficulties are a part of life.
Right.
We have the inner strength to deal with them.
Yeah, and you know, that's what's so great about this book. It gives you all these tools.
It's so practical.
Yeah.
It's not just theory. It's like, here's how to actually do this. So, you know, as we continue to look at some of the things from the Daily Stoic, one of the things that keeps popping up is this idea of controlling our perceptions.
Right.
Like, that's such a key principle in Stoicism.
Yeah.
And it's so relevant today.
Especially today, yeah.
I mean, think about it. We are just bombarded with information stimulation. 24/7 news cycle, social media.
It's so easy to get overwhelmed.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it can be hard to sort of step back and see things clearly.
Right.
So the Stoics, they emphasize this idea that we have the power to choose how we perceive events.
Okay.
And it's not about denying reality or pretending that bad things don't happen.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our interpretations, our judgments, they have a huge impact on how we experience those events.
So if something bad happens to you, it's not necessarily the event itself that's making you feel bad.
It's your reaction to it.
Yeah, how you're interpreting it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like if you miss your train.
Right.
You know, you could choose to get all stressed out about it.
Oh, my God.
You know, miss that important meeting or whatever.
Right.
Or you could choose to see it as an opportunity to relax.
Yeah.
Maybe catch up on a book.
Listen to a podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about shifting our perspective.
Right. And so how does Ryan kind of explain how to do that?
He gives some really practical examples in the book. He talks about reframing challenges as opportunities for growth, focusing on the things we can control, not letting our emotions dictate our reactions.
So kind of taking that step back.
Yes.
And being like, okay.
Taking a deep breath.
Yeah.
And choosing how you want to respond.
This reminds me of that Epictetus quote.
Oh, yeah.
It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters.
Exactly. That's the essence of Stoic resilience.
And that leads into the discipline of action.
Yes.
Right. Because it's not enough to just control your thoughts.
It's not enough to just think about it.
Right. You have to actually...
You have to act.
Yeah. So what does that look like?
So action for the Stoics is about being purposeful, deliberate.
Okay.
Guided by reason and virtue.
Okay.
And Ryan emphasizes that this doesn't mean you have to be perfect.
Right.
Or achieve some grand, lofty goal.
Okay.
It's about those small, consistent choices that align with your values.
Yeah. It's like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly.
It's all those little
things. Yeah, those little things add up over time.
Okay, so it's being intentional about your actions.
Yes.
But also it's about contributing to the common good.
Yes.
I know Ryan talks a lot about cosmopolitanism.
This idea that we're all citizens of the world.
Right. We're not just individuals.
Yeah, exactly. We're all interconnected.
And so our actions should reflect that.
Our actions impact other people.
Right.
So we need to consider the needs of others, not just our own.
It's like that proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Exactly. We need each other.
And that kind of leads into this idea of self-control.
Yes. Self-control is huge.
Which I feel like is
a big one.
Especially relevant today.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's so many...
Temptations.
Yeah, temptations, distractions.
Instant gratification everywhere you look.
Yeah. It's so hard to resist.
It is.
So what are some of the ways that we can cultivate self-control?
Well, Ryan talks about practicing delayed gratification.
Okay.
Learning to say no to things that don't align with your values.
Right, so that refusal thing.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Right.
And recognizing the fleeting nature of desires.
Oh, so like that thing that you really want right now,
oh,
it's probably not going to be as important tomorrow.
It's a fleeting pleasure.
And also he talks about mindfulness, right?
Yes, mindfulness is key.
Like being aware of your thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
But not letting them control you.
Exactly.
And that kind of brings us back to accepting what we can't control.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle.
So it's about recognizing that there are things in life we simply cannot change.
And that's okay.
And that fighting against them only creates suffering.
Yeah. It's like you're
banging your head against a wall.
So what are some examples of things that we might need to accept?
Well, Ryan talks about accepting setbacks and failures as part of the learning process.
Okay, so like you're not always going to succeed.
Right. Nobody's perfect.
Okay.
He also talks about letting go of the need to control outcomes because sometimes things just don't go our way.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's so hard, I feel like.
It is.
Especially
in our culture where we're so focused on success.
Yeah, and like achieving things.
Then control.
Right. And so how do you kind of balance that?
Yeah, it's about finding that sweet spot.
Okay.
Between striving for excellence.
Okay.
And surrendering to the reality that we can't control everything.
Okay.
So it's not about being passive or giving up.
Yeah.
It's about focusing our energy on the things we can influence and accepting the things we can't.
Right. So it's kind of like picking your battles.
Exactly.
And then one of the things I like about how Ryan talks about Stoicism is he's not like this is the dogma.
No.
This is what you have to do.
He's very clear that it's a journey.
Right. It's a process.
It's a practice.
Yeah. And so what are some of the ways that we can kind of continue on that journey?
Well, it's about continuous practice.
Okay.
Self-reflection and always being open to learning and growing.
So it's not like you read the Daily Stoic.
Right.
And then you're done.
No. It's a lifelong pursuit.
Yeah.
And even small steps taken consistently can lead to profound transformation.
Okay. So it's like those little habits, those little choices that we make each day.
That add up over time.
Okay. I like that. So as we're wrapping up our deep dive into the Daily Stoic, there's one idea that I keep coming back to.
Okay.
And that's this concept of amor fati.
Oh, yeah. Love of fate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a big one.
It is a big one.
The challenging one.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that, like, maybe at first glance seems kind of like...
Like, how can you love...
Yeah, like everything that...
Like, if something bad happens to you, how can you love that?
Yeah.
But I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah, it's not about, like, being happy about something bad happening.
Right.
It's about accepting it.
Yeah.
As part of the...
Like, this is part of life.
Yeah, the totality. Of your experience. Okay, so it's not about, like, pretending that everything's fine.
No.
It's more about, like...
It's about embracing the whole thing.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
Yeah, the ups and the downs.
Okay, so it's more about, like, an attitude of acceptance?
Exactly. It's an attitude.
Okay.
And Ryan talks about how the Stoics saw challenges as opportunities for growth.
So it's not a bad thing that there are challenges.
Right. It's part of the process.
Yeah. It's how you grow.
Exactly. It's how we learn.
Okay, so instead of, like... when something bad happens, you're like, why me?
Right.
It's more like, what can I learn from this?
Exactly. Or how can I use this to become stronger?
And so that kind of goes back to that idea of focusing on what you can control.
Yes, that's key.
Because you can't always control what happens to you.
No, you can't control external events.
But you can control.
Because you can control how you respond.
Yeah, how you react to them.
Yeah.
So it's about taking ownership.
Yes. Taking responsibility.
Yeah.
For your own
reactions.
Yeah, your own emotions, your own choices.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Stoicism so empowering.
It gives you a sense of agency.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of chaos.
Because it's like, you always have a choice.
You always have a choice.
Yeah, even if it doesn't feel like it.
Even if it feels like everything is out of control.
Yeah.
You still have control over
your mind.
Your thoughts, your actions.
And so I think that's a really good takeaway.
Yeah, it's a powerful message.
It is. And I think it's something that we can all benefit from.
Absolutely.
Especially in today's world.
Especially today.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this question.
Okay.
If you could only pick one Stoic idea from the Daily Stoic that we've talked about today, which one would it be, and how would you apply it to your own life?
That's a great question to ponder.
And remember, it's a journey.
It's a practice.
Not a destination. And even small steps taken consistently can lead to big changes.
So keep practicing, and until next time, keep diving deep.